Yeah. I'm going to tell you about the first love story. So the first love story is about dating this hot and clever girl with the sweater, and it's not Sarah Lund from The Killing. The project that I'm going to talk about is a project about helping Mother Earth and also to prevent Santa's workshop from flooding. So I mean, it's always really nice when the client come to us with a project that focus on the overall world betterment. So Greenpeace did exactly that. So they came to us with this project where they wanted to draw attention to the important causes about saving the Arctic. So I mean, as the climate changes, the planet heats up, the Arctic is disappearing and the ice melts. So then the big oil companies and the commercial fishing companies are racing to claim their part of the chunk of open waters. But I'm just going to let John Hurt tell you a bit about that.
This is the Arctic. Enjoy the view while you can, because it's disappearing fast. Soon the North Pole will be open water. This summer, the oil industry is moving into the Arctic. They want to get their hands on the oil beneath the seabed at the top of the world. So they can drill for the oil, which is warming our world and melting the ice. It's a vicious circle. This summer, we're declaring a global sanctuary in the vital, vulnerable area around the North Pole. We're coming together to secure it for all life on Earth.
Okay. So, how do we bring these serious environmental issues facing the Arctic region and also the whole world directly into people's living room? And then at the same time allowing the user to get a bit closer to these remote areas that even Google Maps doesn't cover. So our idea was to reinvent the whole concept about the logbook. So Greenpeace is on this amazing mission where they want to draw the focus to the serious things that are going on the Arctic, around the Arctic. So they are on these expeditions where they want to make the North Pole this global sanctuary for in order to save the planet. They also, at the moment, they are on this journey where they want to put focus on the oil companies who are exploiting the natural resources around the Arctic, and you've probably seen or heard about this issue where the Greenpeace activist was attacked by Russian armed forces. So these are very serious issues that we wanted to drag focus to. So by reinventing the format of this traditional logbook, we helped Greenpeace to become its own medium in some way. So Greenpeace are on these journeys. And we wanted the user to be involved in these journeys. So we started sketching out the map and how we could explain how Greenpeace were traveling on the Arctic. We also wanted to make it possible for the activists to actually write some stories and then use the map as this contextual layer. So we then kept on doing these wireframes, really basic wireframes, just to lay out the structure of the site and what had to go in the site. So started sketching out how the visual journey could look like and how this story layer could look like with the contextual map on the site. So I mean, there's a really big problem. Besides all the problems that Greenpeace are trying to shed light on, there's also another big problem, and that's the Arctic doesn't really exist. I mean, at least not on Google Maps because it's not solid landmass. So because the site's core features is around this map of the Arctic region, it was really important to us to figure out how to solve this problem. So we looked up at NASA images and looked up if we could use some of these, but they wasn't detailed enough, and it was too messy with all the clouds, and we couldn't really see what was going on underneath. So we found this Gran Canarian-based designer who specializes in 3D maps, and we asked him to create these a set of high-res illustrated map of the area. And then we implemented zoom features and panning features to make it feel like the tool that we are accustomed to use. So, icons. For almost every project we do, we create a unique set of icons. It adds a lot of character to the project, and it makes it way more unique. So luckily we have a lot of really talented illustrators at Hello Monday, and they started sketching out how these different icons could look like. So this is just a glimpse into to the process. So they started to exploring how for instance the Arctic villain could look like and how evil they should be. So there's Darth Vader down there, and he's a really bad guy, but maybe he wasn't the right way to actually represent these Arctic villains. We also drew some icons for the region's wildlife, and in the Arctic Circle, the close presence of the horizon line is this constant reminder of the position on the planet. And these icons are, of course, used in the final project, where it visualizes the different endangered species that were affected by these Arctic villains. So the project, or the final project, is this real-time activism, as we call it. So it's this dynamic lookbook, and when you enter the site, you are met by this video that you saw just before that explains about these issues in the Arctic region. You can then dig into and explore about the different missions that Greenpeace are on. So see the missions that they have been on before and the one that they are currently on. And you can then the users can then follow the activists and follow their route and see updates from in real time. We also, the map was of course the central part of the site, and the user could then follow along as the Greenpeace activists were going around on their journey on the Arctic. So the whole idea sprang from the opportunities within the type of digital and social tool. So Greenpeace uses these the latest expedition technologies where they are able to report the progress from around the world, and of course the health in general. And more importantly, they also use this GPS device to not to get lost. But the cool thing about this is all the blog posts and all the images they take are geotagged, and they can then upload it to this site, and the user can then follow along. It's also possible for the user to learn a bit more about the wildlife of the regions. and of course to see where the Arctic villains are drilling. So overall, it's a site that brings these really serious environmental issues facing the Arctic and the whole world in general directly into people's living rooms.
So just a short note on this one. This is an example of trying to take money out of the equation. So Greenpeace didn't really have a lot of money when they came to us, but the mission was amazing, and we fell in love with it instantly. And we just wanted to find a way to make this happen. So what we helped them was to pitch it internally to make it from a Scandinavian project into an international project, and that's how we succeeded, at least getting some of the hours paid that we put into it. This just explains to us why, and also the project is has been one of the best projects for us, both internally. We learned a lot. There was a lot of love between the client and us. We got great feedback from the users, but also in terms of the philosophy of not always going for the big jobs and going for the money, but also going for the cause, for something that you can make truly remarkable, and then it always leads to something good.
So the next love story I'm going to tell you about is about this Italian model. So back in 2011, we pitched for a project for diesel. Unfortunately, we didn't win the project back then, but we really liked the idea around that project, and later on we made our own iPhone game, but Jacob will get back to that in a short while. So even though diesel turned our pitch down, they kind of liked us, so at some point they came back to us a year later and asked us to do a project for their future spring-summer campaign, which was the start of a really hectic relationship. So I'm going to show you 3 works we did for diesel. So the first date, it was this really intense hot date. It was winter, but it surely felt like summer. The first project we did for diesel, as I mentioned, was the campaign website for the spring-summer campaign. So on the spring-summer campaign, we wanted to bring this e-commerce experience and the brand experience up to par. We also wanted to let the user feel this really burning hot summer vibe. So we were, of course, extremely excited about working with diesel, not only because it's one of the world's biggest fashion brands, but also because the collection itself and the campaign photos were really amazing. So we took a lot of inspiration from these campaign photos, the really clean and stylistic look in these photos. So when you're designing a digital lookbook, it depends a lot on the visual content, of course, and the quality of the collection. So the warm hues and all the inspiration we could drag from these images was a really huge inspiration for us. So we created this frame around the content. So our main concept, in our main concept, we decided to go with the concept of the hot summer days. So the theme around the hot summer days, and it wrapped up the entire digital diesel spring-summer ecosystem with that summer feeling. So we wanted the user to leave the site with this strong sense of the brand, of course. Its new product and the overall campaign aesthetic. So we matched the colorful imagery, the really nice campaign photos, with this user interface framing the content. So the frame works as a navigation, and when you go back and forth in the gallery, the frame responds to your movements. And when you change from one image to another, the frame around the content will adapt. of course, it also works as this global menu, and additionally, we created this grid that worked as a landing page on the site. So the grid was really important because, of course, this should be flexible and dynamic and should be able to work on a lot of different screens as well. So the site combines this really strict layout with a user interface that heats up the longer the user stays on the site. So again, we wanted the people to feel that heat when we designed the website for Spring Summer. The site design and the functionalities are inspired by the overall campaign look, of course. So the longer you stay on the site, the hotter the user interface actually gets. So the colors change from really cool upon entry to a warmer look the longer you remain on the site. So it's maybe the first user interface that gets hotter when you use it.
They don't strip though. We tried to.
No.
They don't. They wouldn't.
Jacob mentioned some of the things about creating a tool for the user instead of one of the main objectives of this project was to create this e-commerce experience around the brand experience. So sales doesn't have to be annoying. It could feel like a service. So sometimes the user needs to know about a specific product and they want to buy that product. And instead of just copying and pasting these weird style numbers, they could just shop directly from the campaign site. So the second date. And the second date got a bit more formal. So we did the second website for Diesel short after we finished the Spring-Summer campaign. So the second project is the front page for Diesel.com. So designing campaign sites is all about creating these perfect universes around the content, but creating the front page of Diesel.com, or one of the world's biggest fashion brands, is a whole another story. So Diesel are really well known for their extremely nice and very different online campaigns and microsites. And what they are really good at is to create these unique experience around every single campaign. So what characterizes the different campaign is really simple. Yeah, they are very different. So to bring all of them, the variety of these campaigns together on Diesel.com, without making it look like a unicorn puked all over the place, we created the site where, of course, a strict grid should control the content, but also where the color bars changes as you scroll down over the site, and kind of create these micro universes around the content. So to grids. So we knew the .com of one of the world's biggest fashion brands get a lot of traffic, and it's traffic from a lot of different devices. So of course the grids should be well thought out. So the grid we did is built in this responsive manner that gives the user a premium and pleasing experience on both small screens but also big ones. We thought a lot about the copy space and creating flexible image containers that helped create this premium experience that you would expect from a site like Diesel.com. So the third and final date for now. The third project we did for Diesel was a redesign of the high-end fashion brand Diesel Black Gold. So Diesel Black Gold is this contemporary collection from Diesel. The clothing is really cool and edgy with a lot of attitude. And what really characterizes each collection is the eminent use of materials and textures. So if you just look at the different clothing, I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, you can see the identity block underneath the logo is cut through, so you can actually see the materials through this name tag, which again emphasized the extensive use of materials. So we wanted to work with the concept about branding every collection with materials. So when we started designing the site, we found both inspiration in the existing visual identity, and of course the clothes themselves was definitely what stood out they stood out as a really varied set of materials and textures. So visually, we combined the identity block with these different textures in order to create an iconic and very central main element of the site. So colors and materials made it easy for the user to distinguish every collection from one another. And at the end, it helped each collection to stand out. So, in order to design an interesting fashion lookbook, you need to accomplish a few things. So, the site should let the user enjoy what they came for, obviously, the clothes and the fashion photography. But the site should also give the people a good sense of the brand behind, and it should be an experience that they will remember. So the identity block also became the main element of this eye-catching navigation concept. It's this always centered navigation block, and all the sub navigations grow out of the centered navigation block in these fluid animations, which let the user explore all the content on the site. And of course, this should also work on a lot of different screens. So again, the persistence throughout the whole experience is this constant reminder of the Diesel Black Gold brand. So the content, besides all these nice images, the content on Diesel Black Gold is a crazy mix of lookbook images and catwalk images and pictures from behind the scene and red carpet snapshots. So to put it another way, the quality of the content is really, really diverse. So again, we created, to accommodate this really diverse mix of content, and in order to display it in an interesting and pleasing way, we created a grid where elements could float more dynamically and still stay on grid, but create this varied look and varied flow when you scroll down the page. And it should also work on different devices, of course.
So just a little side story to that. As Markus mentioned, we actually pitched the first project in 2011, and we didn't win the project. They thought it was a great idea, but too crazy for them, and that's totally fine. That happens a lot of times, most of times, probably for most of us. So it's not, we don't really like pitching. I mean, maybe somebody do, but we would rather have clients like call up really excited and want to work only with us. I don't know if that's weird. But we, in the world that we are working in, we can't really avoid it, or I guess we could, and then would only get the people that actually found us and called us out of the blue to work with us. But so we, in order to find some kind of, like some way of filtering these pitches that we get that we get an opportunity, or projects that we get an opportunity to pitch, we decided to build these rules around pitching. So first of all, the first rule is that we are really, really picky about what we engage in. So like the Ralph Lauren story, so we first dig a little bit into, would this even be a cool project to finish? Could we be proud of it? Would it be fun to do and all that stuff? And if we actually do get to a point where we say, okay, so we'll put in some hours and show them that we can what we can do, then we have these four rules that we apply. So it's fight, cheat, experiment, and grow. So we always try to do this in pitch situations. So it might sound a bit weird, but we believe that if you pitch, then you're in it. Then it's like a fight. There's 5 agencies, 7 sometimes, 3 hopefully, and we're all fighting. So we shouldn't be afraid to lose. So we shouldn't be too aware of the competition. We should just go in like it was a real project, like passionate, like we always do, think like we always do. And cheating is not like we try to cheat within the limits of the law most of the time. But it's just about, you get a brief from a pitch, you get like a one page or 3 pages or something like that, and you don't really know anything about this client. You can research a little bit from the outside, but it's more that you have to think outside the brief. You have to think about what would be the right thing to do for this client. That's what we would do if they called to us and wanted a meeting. So we would challenge them in the brief, and if we didn't think it was right. So we try to do that even though they don't ask us to. So that's the thing we call cheating. So experimentation. If you want to cut through in a pitch, you need to do something remarkable. If you do something super plain, then you're probably not going to win the pitch unless it's for some weird reason is the thing you're asked to do. So that's actually what we call the playground. So we try to put experiments into pitches. We do something we know is super far out there and they're probably never going to execute on, but it's what makes us stick out from the crowd, hopefully. And if it doesn't, then we learn something from it. We experimented. We put those hours that we instead of thinking of it as wasted hours, we put those hours into experimenting. So we always try to have some kind of tech twist or new style touch or something like that into the pitch. And that's the last part, the growing part. So if we lose or when we lose, then it's not totally wasted. We actually experimented, we had fun, we played around, we cheated the clients. It's always more fun when you don't win, actually. And you can always save your ideas for later. So the example of that is this is actually from the pitch deck for the first Diesel project. You probably remember they had Diesel Island as the campaign frame, so they put all these models on an island, and this whole concept around that. Super nice concept. We were asked to do a mobile experience for jeans collection or something like that, and we had this idea that what if you walk around on this island? It's like you walk around on the island like a treasure hunt. You walk with your iDevice, your phone or your iPad, and you unlock pages in the lookbook. So you have to walk 10 meters that way to unlock a picture of the next jean, and then you have to walk 10 meters that way to unlock a jacket or something. And obviously they weren't like super thrilled of the amount of work that goes into collecting the whole idea, although they thought it was funny to actually challenge people in actually finding the products. But it was a bit weird. We acknowledged that. But what we did was we actually made a working prototype. So we we turned it into this project, which is a real-life Pac-Man game.
Hooray!
We call it Beanie and the Balloonist, and I know it looks like we smoked a lot of weed or something like that. We actually didn't. Somebody in the agency came up with this bean character called Beanie, and he's fighting the evil balloonist. He's supposed to collect as many sharp objects to avoid the balloon guy. I actually have the story frame. I'm just gonna have.
Beanie was the biggest, happiest bean alive. He wore pantyhose and a baseball hat, but we're not here to judge him. He lived in peace until the balloonist came along. The balloonist had a taste for baked beans, and he was hungry. Once he discovered Beanie, well, you can see how that would be a problem. Now Beanie's only hope of not getting turned into dinner is to collect as many sharp objects as he can find. Only with a massive amount of sharp objects will Beanie be able to burst the balloonist's bubble.
So that was the story frame. Woohoo! The voices that you hear is actually there's employees and friends of employees. They went into a studio and just recorded weird voices for the app. So it was super fun doing it as well. So this is like a skinned version of a Google map that you can walk inside this map, which is like line art map. We worked together with an illustrator to work on the characters, and then you just work up and you walk into the actual streets of a city, and then you have to pick up the sharp objects and escape from the evil balloonist. Luckily, we didn't hear of anybody dying from running the streets looking at the screen, but it's actually a pretty dangerous game. So, but if you want to try it out,
that really tickled my berries.
It's on the Apple App Store and it's free. So what we
made on a Monday.
What we learned from this was it's actually pretty fun to do our own projects or products where we can do whatever we want. So we created this small subsidy, a small company called Made on a Monday, and now we are doing, it's like the lab framework that Ultranar was talking about. We're trying to be more serious about projects, because the problem is when you don't have a deadline on these projects, it's not even fun to work on if there's not something driving it to get it onto the market. So we're trying to take it a little bit more serious, and hopefully we can share a lot more things with you in the future.
Yeah. So the next love story that we'll share with you guys is MoMA, the movie called.